like I had a teacher one time. It was Pat Pattison, actually. He said, he said, coming from your heart is great, as a songwriter. But what about applying your brain sometimes too? Let's paraphrase what he said, and I thought that's great, because a lot of people feel that it somehow should just be inspiration. And another thing that he mentioned to me is, like, when inspiration stops, that's when the songwriting starts. That's when the work of songwriting begins. And so I think these concepts, just clearing them up in people's minds, can help them a lot get through these misconceptions that they come up with either on their own or just from bad advice from people out there in the world who don't have any knowledge about this stuff.
Yeah, actually, I really like what Pat said to you about, writing from your heart and your brain, because that makes me think of, it's sort of another way of thinking about just the core inspiration and then editing. It's almost like what comes from your heart is, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great. And the more that you have is awesome. And that's like the inspiration, but then you use your brain for editing and then to actually turn that stuff into a song. You don't want to necessarily just go with whatever comes, off the top of your head. Sometimes that can work, but editing is just editing and rewriting. I would say that brain part is just so huge into actually making something that has potential to something that's really great, I think.
That's true. And some people say, well, I remember this one guy left a comment one time when I was giving a webinar, and we were talking about the editing process, and I was giving songwriters advice, and he said, "This is so uninspiring." And, I said, well, this is not the part of songwriting that's supposed to come from inspiration. This is the part that's, after you've been inspired, after that already happened, and it came to an end, what do you do next? And so two things come to mind. One is you have to look at your song that comes from inspiration as a rough draft, not a completed song. And so many songwriters, when they're starting out, they just don't do that. They think, I was inspired, the inspiration's gone, here's my song. It's like, no, that's I guess it's kind of like saying, God left a pile of money on your doorstep, and then you're like, thanks, God, and you just throw it away. So when you get inspiration from somewhere, it's what you do with it that matters.
Yeah.
Inspiration's gone.
I think, and especially when you think about lyric writing, like if you just, it applies to music too. If you took whatever you came up with and let that be your song, maybe it's pretty good. I'm not going to say like you can't just come up with something and have it not be a good song. I think there are even, stories of hit songs that were written in 15 minutes and that kind of thing. And that's fine. But I just think that if you actually looked at what you came up with and then started to try out different things, like it can only get better. Because even if you end up using the original that you came up with, at least you'll know that you've tried some other stuff and that didn't work. But most of the time, you're going to try out some other stuff and tweak what you originally had and realize this could be so much better, especially, I would say, with lyric writing. Like, if you just think about, like, take the music part out of it, just think about, like, poetry writing and poets. I doubt there are many poets who would be considered great who just, write line by line, boom, and then they're done with the poem, and that's how they write every poem. Most of it is rewriting and editing, and that's just how it gets to be great. I can't imagine that a first draft of something would be better than something that's been edited and thought about and tweaked and all that kind of stuff. It's just, and the same applies just so much to songwriting, and people don't think of it that way, but I think it's important too. Where can people go to, learn more from you?
Well, they can go to songwritingplanet.com, and there's a form on the side where you can put in your name and email address and get information on a regular basis about how to improve your songs.
Okay, so hopefully that information helps you out. If you're looking for a lot more ways to improve your songwriting, I've got a couple of cheat sheets for you that you can download by tapping on the screen here. And if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, you can tap our logo on the screen for that. And I'll also have links for that stuff below this video. So thank you for checking this out, and I'll talk to you in the next one.